The coffee was still hot when my son shoved the papers across the granite countertop. 9:30 on a Tuesday morning, and the sunlight streaming through the bay windows made the whole scene feel obscenely cheerful, like the universe hadn't gotten the memo that my life was about to end. "Sign it, Dad." Ryan's voice carried that edge I'd been hearing more often lately. Sharp, desperate, nothing like the boy who used to bring me drawings from kindergarten. "We've been over this 100 times. I set my mug down carefully, buying myself a second to think. The document was titled Durable Power of Attorney in bold serif font. Beneath it, smaller text, Grant of Full Financial Authority. I'd reviewed enough of these in my 40 years as a forensic accountant to know exactly what it meant. Sign this, and Ryan could drain every account, sell every asset, make every decision. "I'm not signing away control of my finances, son." I kept my voice level, professional. The voice I'd used in depositions when witnesses tried to squirm. "I'm 72, not senile. I still balance my own checkbook." "That's exactly the problem," Laura's voice cut in from behind me. My daughter-in-law moved around the kitchen island with that predatory grace she had, all designer yoga pants and calculated concern. "George, honey, you're not seeing the whole picture. That checkbook you're so proud of? You wrote the same bill twice last month. The electric company called us to sort it out." I hadn't. I knew I hadn't. But the way she said it, with that gentle condescension, made me doubt myself for a split second. "The doctor says," Ryan started. "The doctor says I'm in perfect health for my age." I cut him off, feeling anger flare in my chest. "When exactly did you talk to Dr. Foster about me?" They exchanged a look. Quick, guilty. That was the moment I should have known. That was the moment I should have thrown them both out of my house. Instead, I reached for the papers, intending to read them more carefully. That's when Ryan grabbed my wrist. "Just sign it." His grip was tight enough to hurt. His pupils were dilated, sweat beading on his upper lip despite the air conditioning. "We have an investment opportunity. Time sensitive. We need liquidity by Friday or we lose everything." "Then you lose everything." I tried to pull my arm back. "I'm not gambling my retirement on some—" He shoved me. I wasn't expecting it. "At 72, your reflexes aren't what they used to be, and your balance is even worse." My hip caught the edge of the counter as I went down. The corner of the marble caught my temple on the way to the tile floor. The sound my head made, that hollow crack, seemed to echo forever. I lay there, stunned, tasting copper. Blood was running into my left eye, warm and fast. Through the red haze, I saw Ryan and Laura standing over me. Neither of them moved to help. They just stood there, staring, like they were trying to calculate whether I'd get back up. Then I heard the small gasp from the doorway. Madison. My granddaughter, 12 years old, still in her school uniform, frozen with her backpack sliding off one shoulder. Her blue eyes, Ruth's eyes, were wide with horror. "Grandpa?" Her voice was so small. "Go to your room, Madison." Laura's tone brooked no argument. "Now!" The girl fled. I heard her footsteps thundering up the stairs, heard her door slam. Ryan finally seemed to snap out of whatever trance he was in. "Dad, He reached down, but not to help me up. He reached for the papers that had scattered across the floor. "Just sign them, please. You don't understand. We need—" "Get out!" I managed to push myself up to one elbow. The room spun viciously. "Get out of my house!" "It's not your house." Laura's voice had lost all pretense of sweetness. "Not for long. You're losing it, George. Everyone can see it. The doctor will confirm it. You're a danger to yourself, to Madison. We're trying to help you before you end up wandering into traffic or burning the house down." She crouched down, bringing her face level with mine. This close, I could see the calculation in her eyes. Cold. Empty. "Sign the papers, or we'll have you declared incompetent. Either way, we get control, but if you sign now, you get to keep some dignity. You can stay here, supervised. If you fight us—" She smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "Well, Brookside Manor has an opening. I've already submitted the application." Brookside Manor, the state-subsidized facility on the edge of town, the place where people went to be forgotten. "Madison stays with me," I said through gritted teeth. "Madison comes with us when we sell this place." Laura stood up, smoothing her blouse. "Speaking of which, Ryan, call the realtor. Let's get an appraisal scheduled." They left me there on the kitchen floor, bleeding into the grout lines of the tile I'd installed with Ruth 30 years ago. I didn't call for help. I didn't cry. I lay there, staring at the underside of my kitchen counter, and felt something inside me shift. I'd spent 4 decades hunting criminals, embezzlers who stole pension funds, fraudsters who destroyed families, white-collar predators who thought they were smarter than the system. And now the most dangerous criminals I'd ever faced were wearing the clothes I'd bought them, eating the food I'd paid for, living under my roof. I touched my bleeding temple and made a decision. They wanted to declare me incompetent? Fine. I'd give them exactly what they expected, a confused, frightened old man. And while they celebrated their victory, I'd build the case that would put them both in federal prison. I made it to the master bedroom without running into them again. The ensuite bathroom had good light. Ruth had insisted on that renovation, and I needed to assess the damage. The cut wasn't as bad as all the blood made it look. Head wounds always bled like hell. I'd need butterfly bandages, maybe a couple of stitches if I wanted to avoid a scar. But scars were the least of my problems. I cleaned the wound with shaking hands, only half-faked, and caught my reflection in the mirror. 72 years old, gray hair thinning on top, liver spots on my temples, the kind of face that made people ask if I needed help reaching things on high shelves. They saw weakness. That was their first mistake. I pressed a clean washcloth to my temple and let myself sink onto the closed toilet lid. The adrenaline was fading, leaving exhaustion in its wake. But I couldn't rest yet. I needed to think. I needed to remember. When did it start? Ryan had always been difficult. Ruth used to say he had an adventurous spirit. I said he had poor impulse control and a taste for shortcuts. First time I caught him gambling was junior year of college. Online poker, $5,000 deep before I found out. I'd paid it off, made him promise to stop, thought we'd handled it. 30 years in forensic accounting, and I'd still fallen for the oldest trick in the book, believing a addict's promises. Laura came into the picture 5 years ago. Ryan brought her to Sunday dinner, introduced her as his girlfriend, and Ruth had grabbed my hand under the table, squeezed it 3 times. Our signal. Something's wrong. That woman has cold eyes, George, Ruth whispered to me later when we were doing dishes. Like a shark. She doesn't blink enough. You're being paranoid, I'd said, up to my elbows in soapy water. Ryan needs someone stable. She's a paralegal. She's responsible. She's performing, Ruth corrected. Everything's too practiced, the way she laughs at his jokes, the way she touches his arm. It's not real, George. It's a strategy. Ruth had died 2 years ago. Pancreatic cancer, fast and merciless. In her last days, morphined and fading, she'd gripped my wrist with surprising strength. Protect Madison, she'd rasped. From her parents if you have to. I'd thought it was the drugs talking. Now, sitting in my bathroom with blood soaking through a washcloth I knew, Ruth had seen what was coming. She always was the smarter one. Ryan and Laura had moved in 8 months ago. Just temporary, they'd said. Between houses. I'd believed them because I wanted to, because I was lonely in this big house, and Madison filled it with life again, and maybe this time Ryan would. The electricity bill had tripled. Designer shopping bags appeared in the hallway. Ryan's freelance consulting never seemed to generate any income, but somehow they were eating at restaurants that charged $40 for a steak. And the mail. God, the mail. I started intercepting it 3 weeks ago. Collection agencies, final notices, a letter from a car title loan company. Then, last week, the one that made my blood run cold, a correspondence from Brookside Manor, thanking Laura for her inquiry and confirming that their memory care wing had availability. That's when I'd bought the burner phone. Old habits die hard. When you've spent 40 years investigating fraud, you don't just turn it off. You start noticing patterns, inconsistencies. The way Ryan's phone would buzz and he'd immediately leave the room. The way Laura researched durable power of attorney Connecticut at 2 in the morning when she thought I was asleep. The way Madison had stopped smiling. I pulled the washcloth away from my temple. The bleeding had mostly stopped. I'd live. The question was, for how long? If I fought them openly, they'd accelerate their plan, get a judge, a sympathetic doctor, have me committed before I could defend myself. I needed time. I needed evidence. I needed to become the very thing they expected me to be. The knock on my bedroom window came just after sunset. I'd been lying in bed, lights off, playing the part of the traumatized old man. In reality, I'd been planning, making lists in my head, witnesses, documents, evidence chain, the things you need to build a criminal case that won't get thrown out on technicalities. The knock came again. 3 soft taps, then a whispered voice. "Grandpa, it's me." I sat up fast enough to make my head swim. The window, ground floor, master bedroom, looked out onto the side yard where Ruth's hydrangea bushes grew thick and wild. Through the glass, I could make out a small figure crouched among the flowers. Madison. I crossed the room and eased the window open. Cool Connecticut evening air rushed in, carrying the scent of fresh-cut grass and upcoming rain. "What are you doing out there?" I whispered, glancing at my locked bedroom door. "If your parents catch you, they're fighting." Madison's voice was tight with fear. "Loud, about money. Mom's drinking wine and Dad's on the phone with someone who's making him cry." She was wearing her school uniform still, but she'd pulled a hoodie over it. Her blonde hair was escaping its ponytail in wispy strands. "I heard them talking about you," she continued, and now I could see tears tracking down her cheeks. "After you locked your door, they said—" Her voice broke. "Grandpa, they said you're going away tomorrow." My blood turned to ice. "Tomorrow?" "There's a van coming. At 6 in the morning, before I leave for school. Mom said you won't remember anything because of the medicine, and by the time you wake up, you'll be—" She fumbled in her hoodie pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I drew it, so I wouldn't forget. She passed the paper through the window. I unfolded it with trembling hands, crayon on lined notebook paper. The kind of drawing a 12-year-old makes when she's terrified and trying to process something she doesn't understand. A boxy building with bars on the windows. A van with a hand-drawn logo on the side. Brookside Manor Transport. Stick figures, 2 tall ones waving, 1 small one, Madison, with a sad face, and an old man figure being loaded into the van. At the bottom, in careful block letters, "They think I'm asleep, but I'm not." "Madison." I had to force the words past the tightness in my throat. "I need you to listen very carefully. Go back to your room right now. Lock your door. Don't open it for anyone but me. Can you do that?" "Are they really taking you away?" "Not if I can help it, but I need you to be safe. Can you be brave for me?" She nodded, wiping her nose on her sleeve. "Grandpa, are you going to be okay?" I thought about the drawing, about the casual cruelty of planning this in front of a child thinking she was asleep, about the level of sociopathy required to drug and kidnap your own father. "I'm going to be fine," I lied. "But Madison, one more thing. Tomorrow morning, no matter what happens, you stay in your room. Even if you hear yelling, even if someone tells you to come out, you stay put until I come get you personally. Understand?" "I understand." "Good girl. Now go. Be a ninja." She nodded once more, then disappeared back into the hydrangeas. I watched her shadow move along the house's exterior until she reached the trellis by the back porch. She climbed like she'd done it before. Of course she had. She'd just climbed to my window and disappeared through what must have been her own bedroom window. I closed my window and locked it, drew the curtains. Then I looked at the crayon drawing again. 6 in the morning. Chemical restraints. Brookside Manor. They weren't just planning to steal my money. They were planning to erase me. I sat on the edge of my bed and let myself feel it. The full weight of betrayal. The magnitude of what my son had become. I'd expected greed. Maybe fraud. But this? This was kidnapping. This was a conspiracy to commit what was essentially a slow murder, and they were planning to do it in 7 hours. I stood up, crossed to my closet, reached into the false bottom of my antique jewelry box, the one that had belonged to my mother, and pulled out the burner phone I'd hidden there. The phone I'd bought 3 weeks ago when I'd started noticing the pattern. I powered it on and dialed from memory. Catherine Brennan, attorney at law. Even at 8:30 at night, she answered on the second ring. "Catherine, it's George. Activate Protocol Sierra." There was a pause, a long one. Catherine had been my lawyer for 25 years. She'd helped me draft my will after Ruth died. She'd incorporated my consulting business back in the 90s. She knew me. "George, are you safe right now? Do I need to send someone?" "I'm safe for the next 7 hours. After that—" I looked at Madison's drawing. "Catherine, I need a full forensic accounting of Ryan Mark's finances. Every account, every transaction, every debt. I need it by tomorrow morning, and I need Captain Hayes on standby. Your son. Her voice went flat. You're investigating your son. I'm investigating a conspiracy to commit fraud and kidnapping. The suspect happens to share my last name. Another pause. Then, what did he do, George? I told her. The power of attorney demand, the shove, Madison's drawing, the 6 a.m. timeline. When I finished, Catherine's voice was steel. I'll have preliminary financials in 2 hours. The deep dive will take 48, but I'll get you enough for probable cause. George, are you sure about this? Once we pull this thread, I know there's no going back. I touched the bandage on my temple. Get me the evidence, Catherine. I'll take care of this rest. Protocol Sierra is active. Stay safe. She hung up. I powered down the phone and hit it again. Then I lay back down on the bed, stared at the ceiling, and waited for the phone to vibrate with Catherine's findings. Somewhere in the house, I heard Laura's laugh, high and sharp, like breaking glass. 7 hours until the van arrived. 7 hours to build a case. 7 hours to save my life. The hunter was back in business. The burner phone vibrated at 11:47 p.m. I'd been lying in the dark, fully clothed, watching the red numbers on my alarm clock tick toward midnight. Sleep was impossible. Every creak of the house settling, every distant car passing on the street made my heart rate spike. I pulled the phone from under my pillow. A text from Catherine. Preliminary report attached. You need to see this now. Calling in 2 minutes. The PDF loaded slowly on the cheap smartphone. When it finally appeared, I had to read the summary 3 times before my brain would accept what I was seeing. Ryan Mark, Financial Overview, Preliminary, compiled by Brennan and Associates. Current debts. Credit cards, 7 accounts, $47,320. Car title loan, $15,000. Payday loans, multiple, $23,100. Outstanding gambling debts, verified, $180,000. Total exposure, $265,420. The phone buzzed. I answered before the first ring finished. $180,000? I kept my voice to a whisper. Catherine, where did you get this number? I called in a favor with James Novak. Catherine's voice was tight. You remember him? Private investigator, used to work the Mercer pension fraud case with us? I remember. I asked him to put surveillance on Ryan. George, your son has been meeting with some very dangerous people. Novak followed him tonight to a warehouse in Newark, Vincent Calabrese. The name hit me like a physical blow. The loan shark? Worse. Calabrese's connected. Rossetti crime family. He runs their sports betting operations in North Jersey. George, Novak got audio. You need to hear this. There was a rustling sound, then a click. Catherine had put me on speaker. The recording quality was poor. Wind noise, distant traffic, but the voices were clear enough. Voice 1, Calabrese, rough Brooklyn accent. You're 3 weeks overdue, Ryan. That's disrespectful. Mr. Rossetti doesn't like disrespect. Voice 2, Ryan, trembling. I know, and I'm sorry, but I have it. I swear to God I have it. My father's signing everything over tomorrow morning. Full power of attorney. I'll have access to his accounts by noon. Calabrese. We've heard that song before, kid. Last month it was next week. Week before that it was after the holidays. We're done dancing. Ryan. This is different, I swear. Laura has everything arranged, the doctor, the paperwork, the transport. By tomorrow afternoon, the old man will be in a facility and I'll have complete control. $1.2 million in liquid assets plus the house. I can wire you everything by Friday. Calabrese. $1.2 million, huh? Dominic, show Mr. Mark the photos. Sound of papers hitting table. Ryan, strangled sound. No, you can't. That's my daughter's school. Calabrese. Brookside Elementary, pretty place. Your little girl Madison, right? Blonde hair, blue backpack. She walks home Tuesdays and Thursdays. Takes the long way through Riverside Park. Ryan, sobbing. Please don't hurt her. She's 12 years old. Calabrese. Then get me my money. You got until Friday, 5 p.m. After that, I can't make promises about your daughter's safety. Kids are fragile, you know. Accidents happen. Sound of footsteps, car door slamming, engine starting. Catherine stopped the recording. The silence on the line was deafening. George, you still there? I was gripping the phone so hard my knuckles had gone white. They threatened Madison. Yes. My son is gambling with the mob and they threaten my granddaughter. Yes. I closed my eyes trying to process it. Ryan wasn't just a desperate addict. He was in debt to the kind of people who made children disappear. And his solution, his only solution, was to drug me, ship me to a facility, and liquidate my entire estate to pay off his bookies. There's more, Catherine said quietly. Novak tracked the gambling debts back. Ryan's been betting online for 3 years, started small, $100 parlays, sports betting, but it escalated. He's into everything now. Offshore casinos, illegal poker rooms, even some cryptocurrency speculation that went sideways. The man has a problem, George, a serious one. That doesn't excuse. I'm not excusing anything. I'm telling you what we're dealing with. This isn't just greed. Your son is an addict in a hole he can't climb out of, and he's made deals with devils to try to save his daughter. It doesn't make what he's planning right, but it makes it complicated. Complicated. That was one word for it. I thought about Ryan at 8 years old, crying because he'd struck out at his Little League game. I'd told him, winners don't cry, winners practice. He'd practiced until his hands bled. I thought about Ryan at 16, sneaking out to meet girls. I'd grounded him for a month. Actions have consequences, I'd said. I thought about Ryan at 25, graduating college with a business degree he'd barely earned because he was too busy playing poker in dorm rooms. I'd gotten him a job at my firm. He'd lasted 6 months before I had to let him go for not being a cultural fit. Had I made him this way? Had I pushed so hard that he'd learned to take shortcuts? To lie? To gamble on long shots because nothing he did was ever good enough? George, Catherine's voice pulled me back. What do you want me to do? I looked at Madison's crayon drawing on my nightstand, the stick figure being loaded into a van, a 12-year-old girl who'd climbed through bushes to warn me, who was brave enough to be terrified for me instead of just for herself. Get me everything on Calabrese, I said. Addresses, associates, patterns. If they're threatening Madison, I need to know how serious the threat is. Already working on it. What else? Keep digging into Ryan and Laura's finances. I need to know if there's more. Insurance policies, forged documents, anything that shows premeditation. On it, George. The van comes in 6 hours. I know. Do you have a plan? I didn't. Not really. I had fragments of a plan, pieces that didn't quite fit together yet. But I'd spent 40 years building cases from fragments. You start with what you know and work backward to what you can prove. I'm working on it, I said. Keep me updated. I hung up and sat in the darkness, listening to the house. Down the hall, I could hear Laura's voice, low and urgent, then Ryan's pleading. They were still awake, still planning, still assuming I was a helpless old man who'd go quietly into the night. That was their second mistake. Catherine's next message came at 1:23 a.m. This time it was a full dossier, 20 pages of PDFs that made my blood run cold. I'd never known Laura's maiden name. Ryan had always just called her Laura from the firm, the paralegal he'd met at some networking event. Turns out, Laura from the firm had a history. Criminal record, sealed juvenile. Age 23, fraud charges, dismissed, plea bargain. Worked at Henderson & Associates, law firm, as paralegal. Terminated for cause, suspected document forgery. Marriage history. First marriage, Thomas Mitchelson, 2014 to 2016. Husband died, fall down stairs, head trauma. Life insurance claim, $500,000. Claim denied, suspicious circumstances. Investigation closed, insufficient evidence, financial pattern. $500,000 inheritance from parents, 2012. Depleted by 2014. Insurance payout money, gone by 2017. Multiple credit accounts opened/defaulted. Pattern suggests chronic overspending plus gambling. Connection to Ryan, Mark met at Gamblers Anonymous meeting, 2018, married within 6 months. No prenuptial agreement. Current investigation. Notes, Laura has a type. Men with assets, addiction problems, and weak personalities. She doesn't create addicts, she finds them and exploits them. Ryan was already gambling when they met. She just gave him permission to go deeper, then positioned herself to profit from the inevitable crash. I read it twice. Then a third time. Laura wasn't just a gold digger, she was a predator with a system. Find vulnerable men, marry them, isolate them, take control, and if they died in accidents before she got everything, well, there was always life insurance. Thomas Mitchelson had fallen downstairs. What did Laura have planned for me? A fall, a medication error, or just the slow death of chemical restraints and institutional neglect at Brookside Manor? I pulled up the internet browser on the burner phone and searched for Thomas Mitchelson's death. Local news archive from 2016 popped up. Thomas Mitchelson of Stamford died Tuesday from injuries sustained in a fall at his residence. Police report no signs of foul play. Mitchelson's wife, Laura, was out shopping at the time of the incident. He is survived by his wife and his mother, Patricia Mitchelson, who declined to comment. Out shopping. Perfect alibi. I searched deeper, found an obituary, found Patricia Mitchelson's address, a nursing home in Stamford. On impulse, I dialed the main number. Evergreen Senior Living, night desk. A bored voice answered. Hi, I'm trying to reach Patricia Mitchelson. Family matter. It's 1:30 in the morning, sir. I know. I'm calling from California. Time difference. It's important. Is she able to take calls? A sigh. Mrs. Mitchelson has advanced dementia. She hasn't recognized visitors in 2 years, but I can take a message for her care team. That's okay. Thank you. I hung up, stared at the phone. Laura's first victim had a mother who couldn't testify against her, couldn't tell anyone what she suspected about her son's death. Convenient. I was building a profile now, the kind I used to build for white-collar criminals. Laura wasn't impulsive. She was methodical, patient. She'd spent 5 years with Ryan, slowly getting him deeper in debt, slowly positioning herself as the solution to his problems. And now she was ready to cash out. My phone buzzed. Catherine again. Got something. Check your email. The new PDF was an image, a scanned document. It took me a moment to understand what I was looking at. Apex Life Insurance Company policy application, Garagos Mark. Death benefit, $2 million. Applicant, Ryan Mark, power of attorney. Date, pending. There was a draft email attached to it, from Laura's personal account to an insurance agent. Mr. Carson, per our conversation, my father-in-law will be signing the POA tomorrow morning. Once we have that executed, we can finalize the policy application. Given his age, 72, and the dementia diagnosis Dr. Foster will provide, I understand the premiums will be high, but the accelerated death benefit clause makes it worthwhile. How quickly after admission to care facility can we expect payout? Father-in-law's condition is deteriorating rapidly. Best, Laura. I read it again. Then again. They weren't just stealing my money, they were betting on my death. $2 million paid out fast if I was declared permanently incapacitated and placed in a facility. Brookside Manor wasn't a warehouse. It was a death sentence with a payout attached. Catherine had added a note at the bottom. Email was in drafts folder, never sent, yet. Novak got access through Laura's cloud backup, legally gray area, but proves intent. I sat there in the dark, holding the phone, feeling something cold and hard crystallize in my chest. This wasn't a family dispute. This wasn't even just fraud. This was attempted murder dressed up in legal paperwork. I made my first real mistake at 3:15 a.m. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't stop thinking about Laura's email, Ryan's debt, Madison's drawing. I needed to move, to do something, so I decided to check Ryan's computer. His laptop was in the guest room they'd taken over, the room that used to be Ruth's sewing studio. I knew Ryan's patterns. He'd be passed out by now, dead drunk or exhausted from stress. Laura was a light sleeper, but their room was at the other end of the hall. I crept out of my bedroom in socks, staying close to the walls where the floorboards didn't creak. The house was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator downstairs. The guest room door was closed but not locked. I eased it open inch by inch. Ryan's laptop sat on the desk, closed but probably asleep, not shut down. People like Ryan never shut down their computers, too impatient to wait for the reboot. I sat in his desk chair and opened the laptop. The screen glowed to life, showing the lock screen. Password protected. I tried Madison's birthday. Wrong. I tried Laura's. Wrong. I tried Ryan's own birthday. Wrong. Then I remembered. Ryan had always been sentimental about one thing. His first dog, a golden retriever we'd had when he was 8. I typed Cooper 2004. The desktop appeared. I exhaled slowly. First hurdle cleared. I opened his browser history. The recent searches made my stomach turn. How to prove elderly parent incompetent. Connecticut commitment laws, mental illness. Chemical sedation for dementia patients. Life insurance accelerated death benefit. How long does dementia patient live in facility? He'd been researching this for months. This wasn't a desperate last-minute decision. This was planned, calculated. I found his email, started scrolling through the sent folder. That's when I made the mistake. I was so focused on the screen that I didn't hear the footsteps until they were right outside the door. The door opened. Light from the hallway spilled in. Laura stood in the doorway wearing a silk robe, holding her phone. She looked at me, looked at the laptop, looked at me again. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then she smiled. "Well," she said quietly, "I guess we're done pretending." She raised her phone, took a photo of me sitting at Ryan's desk. The flash was blinding in the dark room. "Evidence," she explained. "Elderly man with dementia breaking into his son's room at 3 a.m, accessing private files. Very concerning behavior." She tapped her phone. "I'm texting our lawyer now, and Dr. Foster. Looks like we'll need that emergency commitment order after all." I stood up slowly. "Laura, save it." She stepped into the room. Up close, without makeup, I could see the hardness in her face, the calculation. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice? The burner phone hidden in your room, the way you were faking confusion this morning, but I saw you checking your stock portfolio last week. You're not as clever as you think, George." My heart was hammering. She knew. She knew I'd been investigating. "Ryan," she called out, not loudly, just enough to carry down the hall. "Ryan, wake up. Your father's having an episode." I heard movement from the master bedroom. Ryan's voice groggy. "What?" "We need to do it now," Laura said, still looking at me. "Call Dr. Foster. Tell him we have an emergency. The patient is violent and paranoid." "I haven't touched you," I said. "Not yet. But you will." She turned her head slightly. "Ryan, now!" I had seconds to make a decision. If I ran, I looked guilty. Looked like the dementia patient having a paranoid break. If I stayed, they could restrain me, call Dr. Foster, have me committed before sunrise. I chose option 3. I pulled out my burner phone and pressed record. "Laura Mitchelson," I said clearly. "Before you married my son, you were married to Thomas Mitchelson. He died falling downstairs. You tried to collect $500,000 in life insurance, but the company denied the claim due to suspicious circumstances." Her smile faltered. "You've done this before," I continued, the phone recording everything. "Find a vulnerable man, marry him, isolate him, steal his assets, and if he dies in an accident, well, that's just convenient, isn't it?" "You're insane," she said, but her voice had lost its confidence. "Ryan owes Vincent Calabrese $180,000 in gambling debts. Calabrese threatened Madison. You saw an opportunity. Use Ryan's desperation to get access to my estate. $2 million in life insurance once I'm declared incompetent. Another $2.8 million from selling the house. You'd have enough to pay off the mob and still retire comfortably." Ryan appeared in the doorway, wild-eyed. "Dad, what are you—" "Your wife is a black widow, son. She did this before. She'll do it again, probably to you when she's done with me." Laura's face had gone white, then red. She lunged for my phone. That's when the window exploded inward. Not broke, exploded. Shattered glass sprayed across the room as a brick wrapped in paper crashed through and landed at our feet. We all froze. I picked up the brick, unwrapped the paper, block letters, written in marker. "You're dead Friday. We know where the girl lives." Laura looked at Ryan. "What is that?" Ryan's face had gone gray. The people I owe money to. They must have followed me." "You led them here?" Laura's voice climbed to a shriek. "You led the mob to our house? To Madison?" "I didn't mean—" "Friday," I said, reading the note again. "That's 2 days away. You don't have until Friday to get the money. They're escalating." Ryan sank against the doorframe. Oh God, what do we do?" Laura's mind was working. I could see it, calculating, adjusting her plan. "We do it now," she said. "Tonight. You call Dr. Foster, tell him emergency commitment. We have George declared incompetent by morning, transfer the assets by tomorrow afternoon, pay Calabrese by tomorrow night." "I'm standing right here," I said, recording every word. Laura smiled again, that cold shark smile. No court will accept a recording made by a dementia patient during a paranoid episode, especially when we have a doctor's sworn testimony about your declining mental state. She was right. That was the thing that made my blood run cold. She was absolutely right. "Ryan," she said, "get the sedative from the bathroom, the one Dr. Foster gave us." Ryan didn't move. He was staring at the brick, at the threat against his daughter. "Ryan," Laura snapped, "do it now or Madison gets hurt. Your choice." Something in her voice, the coldness, the lack of any real emotion, finally penetrated. Ryan looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. "You don't actually care," he said slowly. "About Madison. About me. You never did." "What I care about is surviving," Laura said. "And right now, we all survive if you get me that sedative. Move." Ryan looked at me, looked at Laura, looked at the brick. Then he made his choice. Ryan looked at me, looked at Laura, looked at the brick with its misspelled death threat lying on the carpet surrounded by broken glass. Then he walked past Laura, past me, straight to the nightstand where his phone was charging. "What are you doing?" Laura's voice went sharp. "Ryan, I said get the sedative. I'm calling 911. His hand was shaking as he picked up the phone. Laura's face transformed. The mask of control shattered like the window. "You spineless piece of—" She lunged for him, trying to grab the phone. Ryan was bigger, stronger. He caught her wrist. "No." "They'll kill Madison," Laura screamed. "Don't you understand? We're out of time. We need the money, now." "Then we'll figure something else out." Ryan's voice cracked. "But I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not drugging my father. I'm not stealing from him. I'm done." Laura's other hand flashed up. I saw the glint of metal, a syringe pulled from her robe pocket, the sedative she'd told Ryan to get. She'd had it on her the whole time. "Then I'll do it myself," she hissed, moving toward me. Ryan didn't hesitate. He tackled her. They went down hard, crashing into the desk. The syringe flew from Laura's hand, skittered across the hardwood floor. I kicked it away, under the dresser, out of reach. "Get off me!" Laura was clawing at Ryan's face, screaming. "You weak, pathetic failure! Your mother was right about you. You've never been man enough for anything." Ryan pinned her arms. He was crying now, tears streaming down his face. "I know," he said. "I know I'm weak. I know I've failed at everything. But I won't fail at this. I won't hurt him." I had my phone out, the burner, already dialing. 911, what's your emergency? "This is Garagos Mark, 487 Birchwood Drive in Greenwich. I'm being held against my will by my son and daughter-in-law. They've made threats against my life. There's also a credible threat against my granddaughter from organized crime, a mob enforcer named Vincent Calabrese. We need police immediately." "Sir, are you in immediate danger?" I looked at Ryan holding Laura down, at the broken window, at the brick on the floor. "Yes," I said. "Send everyone." Captain Douglas Hayes arrived in 4 minutes flat. I'd called him directly after 911, the burner phone's second saved number, right after Catherine's. Doug and I went back 30 years. I'd testified in his first major case as a detective, an embezzlement ring that had almost bankrupted the city's pension fund. He'd made captain 5 years ago, and he owed me more favors than either of us could count. When I heard the sirens, I went to the front door and opened it. Didn't wait for them to knock. Didn't want to give Laura any chance to spin a story. Doug came up the walk with 4 uniformed officers behind him. He was in his 60s now, gray-haired and solid, with the kind of face that made criminals confess just to avoid disappointing him. "George." He looked at the bandage on my temple, at my disheveled clothes. "You look like hell. You should see the other guy." "That's what I'm here for. Where are they?" I led them upstairs. Ryan was still sitting on Laura, holding her wrists. She'd stopped struggling, gone limp, playing victim already. "Officers, thank God," she gasped when she saw them. "My father-in-law attacked us. He has dementia. He's been having violent episodes. We were trying to help him when he became aggressive." Doug looked at me, looked at Ryan sitting on top of Laura, raised an eyebrow. "That's one version," I said. "Here's another." I pulled out my burner phone, hit play on the recording. Laura's voice filled the room. "We do it now, tonight. You call Dr. Foster, tell him emergency commitment. We have George declared incompetent by morning, transfer the assets by tomorrow afternoon, pay Calabrese by tomorrow night." Doug's expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in his eyes. "Keep playing," he said. I did, the whole thing. Laura admitting to the insurance scheme, Ryan confirming the mob debt, Laura ordering him to get the sedative. When it finished, Doug turned to his officers. "Read them their rights." "This is illegal," Laura found her voice again. "That recording was made without consent. Connecticut is a two-party state." "Actually," I said, "Connecticut allows recording when there's reason to believe a crime is being committed or about to be committed. You were discussing my kidnapping and forcible commitment. That's conspiracy and attempted assault. The recording is admissible." I'd looked it up at 2 a.m. Old habits. Laura's face went white, then red. Then she started screaming, incoherent rage about conspiracies and elder abuse and false accusations. The officers cuffed her anyway. Ryan didn't fight. He held out his wrists, stood up when they told him to, kept his head down. As they led him past me, he stopped. "Dad, Not now," I said. I couldn't look at him. Not yet. Doug waited until they'd taken Ryan and Laura downstairs before speaking. "George, I need you to come down to the station. Make a formal statement. Bring all your evidence, the financial records, everything." "I need to check on my granddaughter first." "Where is she?" "Her room, third door on the right. She's been through enough tonight. I told her to lock the door and not come out for anyone but me." Doug nodded. "We'll need to call Child Protective Services. Both parents being arrested. Already handled." Catherine's voice came from the stairs. I hadn't heard her arrive, but there she was, briefcase in hand, looking like she'd been awake for days, which she probably had been. She held up a sheaf of papers. "Emergency custody order. Judge Holloway signed it 3 hours ago. Mr. Mark has temporary sole custody pending the criminal proceedings." Doug looked impressed. "You don't mess around." 40 years in the business," Catherine said. "You learn to anticipate." "I need to see Madison," I said again. This time nobody stopped me. Madison's door was locked like I'd told her. I knocked 3 times. Our signal. "Madison, it's Grandpa. The bad guys are gone. You can open up." I heard furniture moving. She'd barricaded herself in. Smart girl. The lock clicked, and then her face appeared in the crack, pale and frightened. "Is it really over?" "It's really over." She threw herself at me, wrapped her arms around my waist, buried her face in my shirt. She was shaking. "I heard yelling," she whispered, "and breaking glass. I wanted to help, but you said to stay in my room, and I heard my mom screaming, and you did exactly right," I told her, stroking her hair. "You were brave. You were smart. You saved us both." "Where are Mom and Dad?" How do you tell a 12-year-old that her parents just tried to kill her grandfather? They made some bad choices, sweetheart. They're going to have to answer for those choices. It's going to be just you and me for a while. Is that okay?" She pulled back, looked up at me with Ruth's blue eyes. "Are you going to send me away?" "What? No, never." "Promise?" "I promise. We're a team now, you and me against the world." She hugged me again, tighter this time. "Okay," she said. "I like our team better anyway." The call came 1 week later. Madison was at school, her first day back after the family emergency. I'd told the principal a sanitized version. "Parents arrested, grandfather has custody, please be patient with her." I was in the kitchen making lunch when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Catherine wasn't scheduled to visit until tomorrow. Doug had taken my statement days ago. I looked through the peephole. 3 men stood on my porch. The one in front was in his 50s, thick-necked, wearing an expensive suit that didn't quite hide the muscle underneath. Behind him, 2 younger guys in leather jackets, the kind of guys who broke knees for a living. Vincent Calabrese. My blood went cold. I opened the door but kept the chain on. "Can I help you?" Calabrese smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "Mr. Mark, mind if we come in? We have some business to discuss." "I don't think. It's about Ryan's debt." The smile vanished. "I don't like coming to people's houses, Mr. Mark. Makes me visible. But your son missed his deadline, and now I'm out $180,000. So here I am, in broad daylight, on your doorstep. You understand how serious this is?" I understood. If Calabrese was here, in person, in Greenwich at noon, he was past caring about discretion. He was desperate, or making a point. I closed the door, unhooked the chain, opened it again. "Come in." They filed into my foyer. The 2 enforcers immediately started looking around, checking exits, cataloging valuables. Professional. Calabrese sat on my couch without being invited. Nice place. Real nice. Worth what, 2.5, 3 million? It's worth whatever the market says it's worth. See, that's where you and I differ. To me, everything's worth exactly what someone will pay to keep it. This house? Worth 3 million. Your granddaughter's safety? What's that worth to you? The threat was so casual, it took me a second to process it. Don't, I said quietly. Don't what? Don't collect what I'm owed? Mr. Mark, your son gambled with my money, lost it, promised to pay me back with your money, didn't deliver. Now you're telling me I'm supposed to just walk away? That's not how this works. Ryan's in jail. I know, which is why I'm talking to you. Family debt, Mr. Mark. His obligation becomes yours. That's not legal. Calabrese laughed. Legal? That's cute. He leaned forward. Here's what's legal. I know Madison goes to Brookside Elementary. I know she walks home Tuesdays and Thursdays through Riverside Park. I know she's in Mrs. Patterson's 6th grade class. I know she has a best friend named Samantha Pierce who lives 3 blocks away. Each detail was a knife between my ribs. I know, he continued, that playgrounds are dangerous places. Kids fall off swings, get hit by cars in parking lots. Tragic accidents happen every day. I was gripping the armrest so hard my knuckles were white. How much? 180 plus interest. Call it $200,000 even by Monday. Monday's 4 days away. Then you better get liquid fast. He stood up. I'm being generous, Mr. Mark. Usually we'd already have paid the girl a visit. But I heard about what your son tried to do to you. That takes stones. So I'm giving you a chance to do the right thing. Pay the debt. Keep the kids safe. Everybody wins. And if I go to the police? Then I go to jail eventually, and my associates go visit Madison immediately. Can't unring that bell, Mr. Mark. He headed for the door. 200,000, Monday. I'll text you wire instructions. They left. I stood in my foyer, shaking with rage and fear, and knew I didn't have a choice. I called Catherine. I need to liquidate $200,000 by Monday. George, no, that's extortion. It's Madison's life. Silence on the line. Then, I'll make the arrangements. The trial took 6 weeks to convene. Connecticut's courts move slowly, even for cases with slam-dunk evidence. Laura hired a lawyer with money she didn't have, probably ran up more debt doing it. Ryan got a public defender who looked like he'd just graduated law school. I sat in the gallery every day. Catherine beside me, Doug Hayes behind us. Madison stayed with Catherine's sister during the proceedings. I wasn't putting her through this. The prosecution was led by Assistant D.A. Rebecca Stone, a woman in her 40s with a reputation for demolishing white-collar criminals. She laid out the case methodically. The forged power of attorney documents, the fake dementia diagnosis from Dr. Foster, who'd already pleaded guilty to medical fraud, the life insurance application, the audio recording of Laura planning my commitment, Ryan's confession about the mob debt, then Madison's testimony, given via closed-circuit video so she wouldn't have to see her mother. Mom said Grandpa was too old to matter anymore, Madison said, her voice small and clear. She said once he was gone, we'd be rich and could buy a boat. The jury looked at Laura with undisguised disgust. Laura took the stand against her lawyer's advice, tried to claim she'd been manipulated by Ryan, that she was afraid for her safety, that she never intended to harm me. Rebecca Stone destroyed her in cross-examination. Mrs. Mark, isn't it true that your first husband also died under suspicious circumstances? That was an accident that resulted in a $500,000 life insurance claim that was denied due to evidence of foul play. They never proved. Just like they never proved you forged documents at your previous employer, just like they never proved you targeted vulnerable men with addiction problems and assets. Rebecca held up a document. I have testimony from 3 of your former colleagues describing you as calculating, predatory, and cold. Were they all lying? Laura's mask cracked. She started screaming about conspiracies, about how I'd orchestrated everything, about how Ryan was the real criminal and she was just trying to protect Madison. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Laura got 18 years federal prison. Ryan, because he'd cooperated and ultimately stopped Laura, got 3 years with eligibility for parole in 18 months. When the verdicts were read, Laura screamed, had to be restrained by bailiffs. Ryan just closed his eyes. I waited 2 weeks before going to see him. The county jail visiting room was exactly what you'd expect. Gray walls, metal chairs, a plexiglass partition with phones on either side. Ryan sat on the other side wearing an orange jumpsuit, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 14 days. I picked up the phone. He picked up his. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. "I didn't think you'd come," he finally said. "I almost didn't." "How's Madison?" "Therapy twice a week. Nightmares most nights. She asks about you." He closed his eyes. "Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I love her. You can tell her yourself in 18 months. His eyes opened. "You'll let me see her?" "She's your daughter, but supervised visits only. And Ryan," I leaned forward, "if you ever gamble again, if you ever put her at risk again, I'll make sure you never see her except through glass like this. Understand?" "I understand." Tears were running down his face now. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything, but I—" "Stop." I couldn't listen to his apologies. Not yet. "I paid your debt. Calabrese got his $200,000. Ryan's face went white. "What? Why would you—" "Because he threatened Madison, and because despite everything, you're still my son." I paused. "I also set up a trust for her, $3 million, managed by an independent firm. You'll never be able to touch it. When she turns 25, it's hers. That's her college, her future, protected from you, from Laura, from everyone. I don't deserve that." "You're right, you don't. Madison does." We sat in silence for a moment. "Dad?" Ryan's voice was barely audible. "Did I become this way because of you? Because you pushed too hard?" The question I'd been asking myself for weeks. "I don't know," I said honestly. "Maybe I did push too hard. Maybe I was too cold, too focused on success instead of supporting you. But Ryan, I didn't make you gamble. I didn't make you marry Laura. I didn't make you try to drug me. Those were your choices. I know. When you get out, you'll have a clean slate, no debt, a chance to rebuild a relationship with your daughter. What you do with that is up to you. Will you ever forgive me?" I looked at my son through the plexiglass, saw the boy who used to bring me Father's Day cards, saw the man who'd shoved me into a counter and planned my kidnapping. "Ask me in 18 months, I said. I hung up the phone and walked away. 6 months later, Madison and I stood on the porch of a small cabin overlooking Flathead Lake, Montana. Snow covered the mountains in the distance. The air was so cold it burned your lungs, but it felt clean, pure. We'd sold the Connecticut house for $2.8 million. After legal fees, the payment to Calabrese, and setting up Madison's trust, I had enough left for this cabin and a quiet retirement. I'd opened a small accounting practice in town, Mark & Associates, simple work, honest people, no more fraud cases, no more criminals. "Grandpa?" Madison was holding a fishing rod bundled in a puffy jacket. "Can we go ice fishing?" "After your homework." "Can I call Dad?" We called him once a week. Supervised calls, monitored by his counselor. He was attending Gamblers Anonymous in prison, taking classes, trying. "After homework," I repeated. She grinned and ran inside. I stayed on the porch, looking out at the frozen lake, found an envelope in my jacket pocket, one I'd been carrying for weeks but hadn't been able to open. It had been in Ruth's jewelry box, dated 3 days before she died. Addressed in her handwriting, "To my George, open when you need guidance." I opened it now. "My dearest George, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And knowing our Ryan, he's probably made terrible choices. I've seen the darkness in him, the addiction, the weakness. We're both to blame for that. But I also see the light. It's in Madison. She has your integrity and my compassion. Whatever Ryan has done, save our granddaughter. She's the best of both of us. You'll face an impossible choice, justice without mercy or mercy without justice. You'll know the right balance when the time comes. Protect Madison, love her fiercely, and if Ryan finds his way back, leave the door open, just a crack. I love you, always, your Ruth." I folded the letter carefully, looked through the window at Madison doing homework at the kitchen table. "I found the balance, Ruth," I whispered. Finally. The snow kept falling. Inside, Madison laughed at something on her phone. We were going to be okay.